G'day everybody, it's Paul here from Flycam in tropical far north Queensland in Cairns, Australia. Here today to talk a bit about the new Team Revel design Beholder Lite Brushless Gimbal for the GoPro3. Now this arrived a few days ago and it was all boxed up and all the bits came in a nice little foam bit there, and I must say I was pretty impressed with the quality. Now this thing's only like $180, not too sure of the price, so you compare that to DJI's gimbal of $650, it's a no-brainer. Now the first thing about this gimbal is assembling it probably took me about 30 minutes, and just follow the instructions online. They're very straightforward, but a couple of things that I will talk about is when you first put it together, this little bracket here that goes onto this motor, one of the very first things you should do, or in the instructions there, just make sure that it's up to the top of that motor. Otherwise when you assemble it you won't be able to get your micro SD card in and out. And while we're in that little area there, there's also the port there for the micro USB port, and you can also plug your FPV cable in there. So that's really cool that you can get your little card in and out or connected to the computer without taking the little GoPro3 out of the cradle. You've got the power button up top there, and around here you have the little microphone, and you've also got a little button there for the Wi-Fi. There's three little grub screws that go in there. I've just got one of these special little tools, and I just slowly put the grub screws in there and just do them up very gently. It just puts a little bit of pressure on the camera there to hold it in there, so don't forget those three little grub screws. Another cool thing is you can actually take the battery out of the camera while it's still in the gimbal. So it's a very good design, and it's very light. I have the Eris CM2000 here, and I much prefer the quality of this thing, and it's even cheaper. Now something else is it sits on these 6 little cushions, but I found that there's always a fine line. If it vibrates too much, you'll get a bit of wobble when you're flying, and if they're too stiff, you'll get vibration. So it's always a bit of a fine line. But I found I just got some little earplugs, and I just squeezed them into the little balls there, and that kind of made things a little bit better. Because I find it really hard to fly slow, and I'm always a bit of a rev head, so I need a bit more stiffness there. Another thing is these 2 little brushless motors, how they just clamp onto the brackets. Really great design. The wire here from the motor 1 goes along here and actually goes through the inside of motor 2 here, and then it goes up, and then they just plug into the board there. Now when you go to plug these wires into the little clips, just have a look on the website there and just study the photos, and that way you'll make sure that the wires go into the into the right little plugs there. Now I believe this one on the left here is motor 1, and this one over here is motor 2, but I could be wrong. Double check that. This little cool thing is called a water buoy. As you know, if you're flying over water and this thing does fall in the water or something happens, it's gone forever. So I've just popped this little water buoy, and what it'll do is inflate and bring it back to the surface. So I might be able to salvage a few little bits and pieces. And that's just Velcros there with a little cable tie. I've got the tilt control working, and there's just 2 little wires on the side there, the black one and the yellow. The black is the ground and the yellow is the pitch, and that goes up inside into the NASA, the F2. I believe, off the top of my head, can't remember now, the black goes to the top of the NASA, and the pitch goes to the bottom. And then you've got to get into the NASA software and set the gains at 0, because you don't want no information being sent down to this gimbal as it's flying. So that's the gimbal set up. The other thing is it's just powered off the phantom battery. I'm getting about 7 to 8 minutes of flight, which is pretty good. That's even more than the Eris CM2000. So 7 to 8 minutes flight, and I'm not flying economical either. I've got the stick down. So that's great, and you could I usually boot the Phantom up first, and then I'll turn the camera on, get it recording, and then I'll plug in the cable. Now having said that, I'll just plug in the cable right now and just let it sit there, and the camera will boot up, or the gimbal will boot up I should say, and there we go. Now the gimbal's running, and as you can see Just amazing piece of technology. For $180, you can't go wrong. Now, also on my stock Phantom, I got inside. Everyone knows there's a 7th channel or in here, and there's a little potentiometer in there. So I desoldered the potentiometer, ran the 3 wires up, and I just put this external 5K linear potentiometer on the front. And what that does, it allows me to tilt the gimbal. Now I'm still fine-tuning the tilt, but I'm getting pretty close, and I will post the settings up online there so people can put in the same ones. But as you can see, that works pretty good. So as you're flying, you can tilt it down, and then as you're going up, you can tilt it around and keep flying. So not bad. I'll just show you the back there and underneath. So it's a great little gimbal, and so far I've been happy with it. You'll see a couple of videos online. There is a little bit of vibration sometimes, but if you're flying into the wind, you can't really do much about that. I think it's just one of the faults with flying with these little quads is they're very susceptible to vibration and wind. And I'm sure if you mounted this gimbal on a larger quadcopter, you'd even get better performance. But I'm quite happy with it. This quadcopter is very small and compact, so I can fly it into tight little areas and through the rainforest. And at the end of the day, if I do lose it, well, I've only lost about $1,500, and I can sleep with that. If I was flying a $10,000 quad with a DLSLR, I'd be fairly reluctant to fly it up a waterfall. But this little baby, no worries. In fact, I'm so impressed with this little gimbal, I think I'll buy another one and another Phantom, just so I got a backup, because I know one day I'm going to lose this in the water, whether it be the waterfall or the ocean. But if you're looking for a good little gimbal, I recommend check out the TRD Beholder Lite gimbal. Well, that's about it. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time. Bye.